For 5 years, nobody could clear this game. Millions of players quit, the developers never released an ending, and eventually, only one player remained. That player was Park Hyunmyeong, and tonight, his final character is about to die. On a bloody battlefield, surrounded by enemies on all sides, there is one man in the midst of it. He is bleeding, exhausted, and completely outnumbered, but the soldiers still rush him like they are finishing off trash. The man goes down screaming, and that is game over.
What kind of trash game is this?
Back in reality, Hyunmyeong is sitting in a dark room surrounded by dead energy drink cans, living the kind of life his parents definitely did not imagine when they named him. They probably hoped he would grow up wise. Instead, he spent 5 years locked in one game and 3 months doing absolutely nothing after quitting his job. No career, no relationship, no future, real jobless behavior. But Hyunmyeong does not see himself that way at all. In his mind, he is the legend who survived 5 straight years in a game nobody else could clear. That game was Pangenia. When it launched, the developers basically dared the entire world to beat it. Every pro player who tried got destroyed. 5 years later, it still had not been cleared, and the only player left was Hyunmyeong. Pangenia earned its reputation fast. Bosses designed to make you question the developer's sanity. Allies who'd knife you mid-quest the second you dropped your guard. Named NPCs that would actively hunt you down if you picked up a bounty. And since top-tier named NPCs are straight-up impossible for players to kill, getting targeted by one was basically a deletion order. But the real cruelty, the thing that broke every player faster than anything else. The moment your character dies, everything resets. No saves, no recovery, start from absolute zero, every single time. Hidden inside the game was the soul point system. Every time a character died, its growth was converted into points that carried over to the next run. The stronger the character, the more soul points you got back. At least, that is how it was supposed to work. Hyunmyeong's deleted character had also been carrying a unique item. He sighs, already thinking another 5 years just went down the drain. Then he checks the return amount, 1.6 million SB. For context, all his deleted characters over the years barely gave him 80,000 total. One of them had even reached Grandmaster of Swordsmanship with only 10,000 invested in sword talent. But 1.6 million, that is not a reward, that is a jackpot. The talent he chooses this time is not even a normal one. He goes for random, because at this point, he already knows he is probably never clearing this game anyway. Then the memory of his girlfriend hits him. She sat him down and talked about marriage, about how everyone around her was moving forward, real jobs, good companies, real futures, and then she looked at him like he was already left behind.
But you
She took her things and walked out.
live well.
And just like that, 5 years walked out the door with her. He quit his job the same week, locked himself in this room, and kept living inside Pangenia because it was the only place where he had ever felt like someone. Now he has 1.6 million SB, a new character, a clean slate, except the creation screen never finishes loading, then a message appears, hidden piece activated. Hyunmyeong freezes. He has played this game for thousands of hours, and he has never seen that message once. Then another prompt appears. You have met the special conditions. You have been invited to Pangenia. Something violent slams into his skull. Ancient, furious, like some burned-out memory is screaming about every world he ever created. Then it is gone. A final message flashes across the screen.
May you find happiness in Pangenia.
And everything disappears. When he opens his eyes again, the world is completely different. Hot, loud, vast, no glasses, chains on his wrists. And someone is already whipping him on the back, screaming at him to get up and form ranks before he gets fed to the High Dragon. The name hits him immediately. High Dragon, that sounds way too familiar. Hyunmyeong looks around and spots the creature in the distance. He barely has time to react before instinct takes over.
Status window.
A window appears right in front of him, so it is real. He really did end up inside Pangenia, but not as his old character. He is in the body of a brand new one. No grind, no build, nothing. Except at the bottom of the screens, 13 hidden traits are already activated. 13 traits he has never seen before. He does not even get time to stare at them properly. The camp erupts. The Desert Queen's army attacks without warning, smashing through whatever fragile ceasefire was holding this place together. And right at the front of the assault is someone called the Snake Princess. The name sits in his memory like a half-forgotten warning. Then the system drops the first main quest into his vision. Main quest 1, survive. Failure means his body in both the game and reality will perish. no reset, no second chance, real death. Arrows begin raining down across the battlefield, and one of his hidden traits activates before the panic can fully hit him. Heart of the iron-blooded monarch. His body sharpens instantly. No exhaustion, no hesitation, no wasted movement. His mind goes cold and clear. If he stays here, he dies. If he wants to live, he has to move. The chains shatter. Another hidden trait starts activating. Weapon master. And the first thing he does is grab a sword, then cut down the man in front of him like he has been born for this moment. Park Hyunmyeong, the jobless loser who spent 5 years clinging to a dead game, has now entered Pangenia for real. The weapon master trait activates, and our guy immediately starts doing things he has absolutely no business being capable of. He's never held a sword before, not in real life, not in Pangenia. Yet the second a blade lands in his hands, the technique is already there. Every parry automatic, every counter perfectly timed. The soldiers still calling him a slave while getting launched backwards should seriously update their threat assessment. Then his vision expands. Suddenly he can see every incoming attack before it arrives, every angle, every opening, every threat. The remaining soldiers stop attacking for a moment, not because they're scared, because they're confused. 5 minutes ago this guy couldn't even stand. Now he's moving like he was born on this battlefield. His weapon master proficiency keeps climbing at an absurd rate. The system eventually starts comparing his growth to elite battlefield veterans, and he's been using a sword for about 3 minutes. Unfortunately, there are still over 500 soldiers standing. No matter how broken these hidden traits are, that is not a problem you solve with confidence.
God, this quest is bullcrap!
Meanwhile, far away from the battlefield, a woman sits upon a throne, and somehow she's even scarier than the war outside. Kneeling before her is a woman we quickly recognize as the Snake Princess. The queen asks a simple question. Is the report true? Did the expedition fail? The answer is yes. 300 men entered the demon world. 300 men failed. And if word gets out that the desert city of Faisalmer refused to participate, the central continent will blame them for everything. So the Snake Princess receives a new mission. Eliminate every surviving expedition member. Erase every witness. Destroy every trace. And in return, the queen's curse will finally be lifted. The Snake Princess accepts immediately. Failure is not an option. Back on the battlefields, the Snake Princess gets informed that all of the slaves have been killed, all besides one, and that one is not just any ordinary slave. Our protagonist drags himself out of the sand looking like an absolute beast. Honestly, when it comes to Pangenia, this guy knows how to lock in. If only he put this much effort into getting a job. He grabs a weapon in each hand. Quest rewards continue stacking in front of him. Then suddenly, the battlefield grows quieter, not completely, just enough for everyone to notice her. Isabella von Derciel, the Snake Princess. The moment her profile loads, Hyunmyeong feels his stomach sink. Level 8, that number alone tells him everything. In Pangenia, the maximum level is 10, and the higher you climb, the bigger the gap becomes. Level 8 isn't strong, it's monstrous. The kind of level where entire factions start listening to you. The kind of enemy players spend months preparing for. The kind of enemy you don't beat. No version of this fight ends with him winning. Then Hyunmyeong sees an interesting fact about her. She cannot leave this place because of the curse of the Desert Queen. Even Isabella pauses to compliment his swordsmanship, then casually informs him that he still needs to die, and attacks. Strangely, Hyunmyeong doesn't panic, because this is exactly why he survived 5 years in Pangenia. Every impossible boss, every unfair mechanic, every wall the game threw at him, he always found a way through. The most obsessive player among a game filled with obsessive players. The guy literally describes himself as a pervert among perverts when it comes to Pangenia. Not sure what that means, but I am assuming it's positive anyway. And if his understanding of Isabella is correct, there's one thing she wants more than his death.
Don't you want to lift the queen's curse?
Everything stops instantly. Isabella freezes. Now she's interested. Now she wants answers. The distance between them disappears as she steps forward.
Who are you?
Hyunmyeong doesn't hesitate, not because he's confident, because he has no other choice.
I read the stars. I guide people toward them. I am the star bearer. And I can remove the queen's curse.
Judging from her reaction, it worked. Even Hyunmyeong seems surprised, because the Star Bearer isn't even a class players can normally access. It's an NPC role players only encounter after surpassing the level cap, something nobody has ever achieved, meaning our protagonist is completely bluffing, a very dangerous bluff. One he needed to make, though, as to remove the queen's curse, she needs the blessing of the stars from the star bearer, but the bluff is not a random one. The reason Hyunmyeong was so confident is simple. Isabella is one of his characters, a character he created years ago, then abandoned. One wrong starting choice locked her into the early game forever. While players were meant to explore the world, grow stronger, and eventually reach the ending, Isabella never got to leave. She remained trapped in the same desert, year after year, like a bird locked inside a cage, waiting for someone who never came back. And because Hyunmyeong created her, he knows exactly what she wants: freedom.
What's your name?
Randolph.
He answers. A system notification appears. Character name has been set. For now, Isabella decides not to kill him, but only for now. If she discovers he's lying, he's dead. Simple as that. Instead, she orders her soldiers to treat him as an honored guest, and immediately afterwards, the quest rewards start pouring in. Later that evening, our protagonist finally gets a moment to breathe. He's sitting in a bath while sorting through the mountain of information flooding his status window, and the rewards are ridiculous. The Hydragon, the Sword of Michela, two absurdly powerful items he never expected to obtain this early. But what catches his attention even more is something called the broken piece of the golden scale, along with a mysterious synchronization between Pangenia and reality, might be the key to clearing the game from the inside, which honestly raises more questions than answers. Unfortunately, he doesn't get much time to think, because suddenly the door opens, and three of Isabella's maids walk inside, barely dressed, offering to wash him. And no, this isn't the classic isekai harem fantasy which you think it is. Our protagonist realizes this is a test from the Snake Princess to see if he would give a reaction to see if he's really the star bearer.
Just the feet.
Keep calm, keep calm, keep calm.
Panic becomes so overwhelming he instinctively yanks open his status window, not because he has a plan, but because he desperately needs something else to look at, anything. And that's when he notices something strange, something about the boundary between Pangenia and the real world merging and possible breakouts happening. Quickly he notices something else that catches his attention even more. A ranking screen. At first that doesn't seem important, then he sees the names and freezes. Gracia, I love mint chocolate, names he knows, names he recognizes, players he spent years playing with, people he always assumed had simply quit, disappeared, moved on. But now, a horrifying realization starts forming. They didn't quit, they got summoned, just like him. And that's when he finally notices it, a logout button, and to him an opportunity to finally leave this damned place. He clears the chambermaids out fast, telling them he needs to commune with the stars or he'll lose his power, and somehow the excuse actually lands. Isabella's attendant backs off without question. Relief, that shabby excuse actually worked. He'd been scared this place would swallow him for good. Log out, logging out, keep your character in a safe place. Tip, if your character dies, you die in real life. Log out complete. He's back, real floor, real desk, real glow of his monitor. For the first time since all of this started, he can finally breathe for about 10 seconds. Then his phone explodes, notifications, messages, emergency alerts, outside. People are screaming, something is burning, something is happening. Hyunmyeong rushes to the window and freezes. Because walking through the streets are monsters, actual monsters, monsters from Pangenia. Somehow, the game followed him home, and as chaos erupts outside, something quietly slips from his pocket, a golden shell casing. Hyunmyeong wakes up still trying to convince himself the whole thing was just 5 years of gaming finally catching up with his sleep schedule, because getting pulled into a game is the kind of thing that only happens in web novels, not to a guy who hasn't left his chair in 3 months. Then he notices the golden piece from Pangenia sitting right there with him, and that excuse falls apart fast. He checks the Pangenia homepage just to be thorough about denying reality, and the page doesn't even exist anymore. The game is gone, and before that can fully sink in, someone outside starts screaming. He looks out the window in time to watch a man get torn apart in the street, and his phone is already exploding with emergency alerts about unidentified monsters and requests for backup. That settles the debate conclusively. The wall between Pangenia and reality is cracked wide open, and the monsters got through first. And Pangenia, ever the professional, even hands him a progress bar for it. A notification pops up confirming the destruction process sits at 7.66%, and as that number climbs, the boundary between reality and Pangenia weakens with it. Hit 10%, and the first fissure opens for good. Cool, 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 cool. Great way to start a Tuesday. Lucky for him, sitting forgotten in the corner of his inventory, this entire time is a golden coin-shaped fragment, and it hits him that if monsters can cross over from the game, there's no reason his gear can't either. He rushes towards his desk and grabs it, fumbling with it like an idiot because apparently real life doesn't come with a convenient double-click option until the item description spells it out for him. The fragment of the broken golden scale lets him synchronize with Pangenia for 24 hours, toggle on or off, tradable later at something called the Golden Scale Shop. His actual body stands no chance against what's outside right now, but if this thing works the way he thinks it does, that might not matter for much longer. As he turns it on, the system confirms it, synchronization with Randolph complete. The unemployed guy who hasn't held a job in 3 months and the #1 player in Pangenia are now, for the next 24 hours, the exact same person. Across the city, a mother is sprinting through the wreckage with her daughter Yoonji clinging to her back, lying through her teeth every time the kid asks where dad is, promising he's on his way when she already knows he isn't. A building gives out right above them mid-sentence, and she throws herself over Yoonji to take the hit meant for both of them. A stranger happens to be close enough to help, just some office worker who got caught in the wrong part of the city at the wrong time, but by the time she reaches them, there's nothing left to save. All the dying mother has left is one request.
Please, take my child with you.
The stranger barely has time to process what just happened before Yoonji is screaming over her mother's body, and somehow, despite having no idea how she's actually going to manage it, the stranger promises she'll protect her. She doesn't get long to test that promise, because a monster has her in its grip within seconds, shielding a child that isn't even hers. So this is how I die, she tells herself, already making peace with it. A blade comes down before the monster gets the chance to finish the job, and the stranger survives without fully understanding how, staring up at the back of whoever just saved her life. The timing turns out to be worse than she thinks, because the real threat hasn't even shown up yet. Something massive rises out of the wreckage behind them, a dragon with 9 heads, and Hyunmyeong shoves them both down before going to work on it. Whatever instincts came bundled with the Randolph sink, they're apparently enough to put a 9-headed dragon on the ground in seconds. Through the whole thing, the stranger can't help but wonder who this man even is. Turns out 5 years of obsessively grinding a video game finally has a real-world application, saving lives nobody asked him to save. Who knew? This isn't just one city's problem, either. Monsters are tearing through the entire planet at once, every country at the same time, and human civilization is taking the hit in real time. But the monsters aren't the only thing that made it across. So did people like Hyunmyeong, players getting yanked back into reality wearing the strength of their Pangenia characters and cutting down things that bullets can't even scratch. The world is rewriting its own rules overnight, and somehow humanity's best line of defense turns out to be a bunch of guys who used to get clowned on for never leaving their gaming chairs. Somewhere else, a man is watching all of this from a rooftop with way less concern than the situation probably calls for, calling everyone else idiots for wasting their golden fragments while he just sits back and observes. His player name is Massacre, and judging by his name, it doesn't seem that he's up to any good Samaritan activities. To him, now that the world and Pangenia have merged, everyone left standing is a competitor, and whoever collects the most fragments and power gets to be the one writing the rules of this new era. He's not watching the chaos, though. He's watching a leaderboard that hasn't moved in 2 years, currently updating in real time. Then there's first place, sitting at an absurd 220 points under the name Randolph. The community only has 2 names for whoever's been dominating Pangenia this long, Phantom or Ghost, since nobody's ever actually seen his face or learned his real name. What they do know is that he's the only player to ever lead an NPC expedition that nearly reached the game's true ending, the infamous Demon Realm expedition, even though it ended in complete failure. To Massacre, that's enough to call him undeniably the strongest player Pangenia has ever produced. And since your strongest character carries over the moment you die, Randolph spawns straight into the body of that very character. Appearance and equipment reset, sure, but talent doesn't, which is exactly why a brand new player just walked in and casually posted the highest score on the board. Back with our boy, he's piecing together the same puzzle from the other side, soaking in a bath and replaying that exact expedition in his head like game tape. He nearly cleared the game's actual ending on that run, until the NPC mercenaries he hired worked against him at every turn, and then his own allies turned on him too. At the time, he chalked it up to bad luck and worse hired help. Now he's starting to wonder if none of those NPCs were ever NPCs at all, if they were other summoned players wearing different skins the whole time, sabotaging him the same way he's been sabotaging monsters his entire run. If reality and Pangenia are merging, whoever came after him back then could still be out there, which means hiding after logging out isn't really an option anymore. He needs to get stronger, fast, in both worlds at once. So he goes straight back to Isabella and tells her he's ready to keep his end of the bargain, but on one condition of his own.
Take me to the sanctuary, Isabella.
Even his own soldiers think he's lost it, and honestly, fair. Turns out main quest 2 isn't survival anymore, it's about picking a class, and Hyunmyeong already knows exactly which one he's chasing, the one tied to the identity he's been bluffing his way through since the day he met the Snake Princess. There's a star sitting in the sanctuary, and he's about to make his lie permanently real. On a quiet desert night, moonlight over Feiselmer's castle, then the scene cuts straight to the aftermath, and it is not subtle. Dead guards everywhere, blood soaking the stone floor, and standing in the middle of it casually wiping off her blade is Isabella, looking like cleanup duty barely raised her heart rate. It took her a few minutes to wipe out the entire guard detail. Turns out when you need someone to make a problem disappear quietly, there is genuinely no one more reliable. Rewind a few hours, because that opening only makes sense once you know what led up to it. It starts with Hyunmyeong asking Isabella to sneak him into the sanctuary, and she reacts about as well as you'd expect to that request. He explains himself fast. Main quest 1 was survival, main quest 2 is obtaining a class, and the class he wants is tied to a star hidden somewhere inside, when he claims to know the exact location of from raising a previous character. Lifting her curse runs through that same star, so as far as he's concerned, this isn't optional. Isabella isn't thrilled, since the sanctuary isn't the kind of place you casually walk uninvited guests into without consequences if anyone finds out. But with no time left and this being her last shot to break the curse before it kills her, she agrees. Good thing too, because by his own admission, if he hadn't talked her into it, his head would already be the one rolling around on the floor in that opening scene instead of the guards. They start moving as they enter the holy ground, walking down on a ridged bridge. His level doesn't come close to what's recommended here, and the air itself is thick enough with poison and demonic energy that it should be actively killing him just for standing in it. The only reason he's still breathing is a hidden trait called Giant's Demon Resistance, quietly doing the one job that's letting a level 2 nobody stand somewhere a beginner has no business being. He briefly considers just sending Isabella ahead solo to clear the area for rewards, but that's not actually why he's here. Suddenly Isabella stops moving, claiming they have run into a trap, but Randolph stops her, taunting her and asking if she's scared, and that seems to get a reaction out of her. She brags that fear isn't something the Snake Princess deals with, before immediately undercutting herself by inventing a leg cramp as the actual reason she wants to find a different route. He calls it exactly what it is and offers to just carry her across instead, since standing around being afraid is a bigger waste of time than getting caught out here when dawn breaks and her queen's men go looking for missing guards. She is predictably furious about the offer and accepts it anyway, muttering the entire time that none of this would be happening if not for her damned leg. So he jumps straight off the edge into what looks like absolutely nothing, with her on his back yelling that he's going the wrong way, that there's no path there. There absolutely is one, and the only reason he can see it is a hidden trait activating mid-fall. Mutant, the one that lets him see every secret invisible to a normal set of eyes. Isabella is stunned that an actual hidden path exists at all, let alone that some random outsider knows it better than she does as second in command of this entire city. The fact he isn't struggling to breathe here also makes this even stranger for her. He doesn't help his case by immediately roasting her for apparently having a fear of heights to go with that fake cramp, which earns him a flat "shut up" and nothing else. But internally, she's doing real math now, calm breathing in air that should have her gasping, a path she's never seen, none of it adding up to just being a star bearer. It's starting to feel less like confidence and more like watching someone greet an old friend they haven't seen in years, so she asks him outright if they've met before.
We've never met in the same place.
She asks confused what it even means, to which he replies that he has seen her, but she hasn't seen him before. Stepping fully onto the path triggers a domain barrier, a ward cast over the whole area that only reveals what's ahead to whoever's actually following the right route. Next comes something Hyunmyeong remembers clearly from his old run, a guardian, and judging by the size of the rune glowing on its chest as it wakes up out of stone and fire, this one's at least upper tier. At his current real-world level, a single graze from it means instant death, no exceptions. So naturally he checks in on Isabella's cramp again, and naturally she tells him to shut his mouth and just watch. She does not need the encouragement. The golem barely gets a swing in before Isabella is through it, ripping the golem into pieces, like it is some fine steak, and fast enough that he's left standing there, genuinely stunned. Internally admitting it's ridiculous watching a character he personally built turn out to be this absurd of an assassin type. So this is what level 8 actually looks like. The kill apparently registers as his, because the system offers him the class Golem Maker on the spot, a rare summoner-type class, solid high-tier rank, the kind of reward most players would be thrilled to land this early. Not what he came here for, however, and declines. The class he actually wants can only be handed over by something else entirely, and that something finally decides to stop hiding. Dark energy floods the area. The ancient king, the true master of this area, sealed away a long time ago. Hyunmyeong has a slight smirk that shows confidence, yet nervousness aswell as he says,
You've finally shown yourself, greater God who guards the stars, ancient King Dramat.
And right after, one more warning lights up, in case the murderous purple energy filling the sky wasn't clear enough on its own. His level is nowhere close to what this place actually requires. Our boy immediately feels the overwhelming pressure of the thing, coming to the realization that this is the mountain guardian of the sanctuary. The princess tells our boy that he didn't bring her here to expect her to deal with the thing. Hyunmyeong, meanwhile, is still operating on outdated information, casually reassuring her that despite the looks, this thing is actually pretty chill and never attacks first. He gets through about 4 words of that sentence before getting proven catastrophically wrong. Dramat goes off instantly, and Isabella eats the opening hit meant for nobody in particular, getting flattened before either of them can process what just happened. Turns out the friendly creature that helped guide the way, memory Hyunmyeong was working off of, is doing him 0 favors right now. Dramat isn't even attacking at random. As far as he's concerned, this is a qualification trial, and since Isabella's the one who actually put down the Golem Sentinel earlier, he's decided she's the challenger, regardless of how loudly she denies it. Prove yourself or die here, basically. Isabella keeps getting tossed around insisting it isn't her, and Hyunmyeong is left standing there running the numbers in his head because something genuinely isn't adding up. Last time he cleared this place, he has 0 memory of ever fighting Dramat at all. That's when it clicks. The character he used to clear this sanctuary with wasn't some scrub, it was Wilhelm, a level 10, 5-star transcendent rank monster of a character, and back then Dramat just obediently walked him straight to the star without a fight. No qualification trial, no violence, nothing, because Wilhelm was simply strong enough that the question never came up. Randolph, on the other hand, isn't, and Isabella is getting her ass handed to her as well, also noting that she can't move properly because of the sanctuary's poison. So he does the only thing that makes sense to a guy with 5 years of game knowledge and 0 shame. He orders Dramat to stop and announces that his master has returned.
Your master, Wilhelm, has returned.
Dramat does not take that well and starts laughing, saying that our poor boy is weaker even than the Golem Sentinel, so how could he dare make such an accusation? Besides, turns out Wilhelm isn't just retired, he's actually dead, permanently, after losing the Demon Realm expedition and shedding every single star he'd earned, which in this world means total, irreversible death. As far as Dramat's concerned, some random creature wearing Wilhelm's name with none of his power has no right to even speak it. Which is when Hyunmyeong pulls out the one card that actually lands, the existence of a secret contract between Wilhelm and Dramat, one whose terms are supposed to be unspeakable on pain of death. Dramat freezes immediately, demanding how an outsider could possibly know about a pact that's never been revealed to anyone. The contract of our protagonist with Dramat states the one who obtains the Star of the Mountain, buried by the star, learns the true name of the mountain guardian, and becomes the new master of it. The guardian has to obey his commands, and the contract cannot be revealed to anyone, because if it's revealed, the one who broke the contract will die. Yeah, before you say, didn't Randolph just reveal it? The honest answer is that Hyunmyeong remembers it from raw game lore, and got lucky that the curse tied to revealing it only applies to whoever's actually bound by the contract, and Randolph's body simply isn't on that list. Dramat has no way of knowing that, though, and that uncertainty alone is enough to make him back off. Intrigued, Dramat asks Randolph who he is, to which he says he will reveal who he is only after Dramat guides him, and then the star will prove for him. The guardian warns him that the star shows no mercy to those with no qualification, and will burn them in flames the moment it is approached. Our protagonist doesn't seem fazed, rather asks Dramat if he's afraid the star would actually acknowledge him as his true master. The guardian just laughs it off as a bluff, and agrees to guide him anyway, since it doesn't sit right with him knowing about the contract. Turns out the star isn't some glowing rock. It's a skull sitting dead center on an altar, and Hyunmyeong explains exactly what it actually is. A fragment of Li, the twin goddess of Pangenia, whose body was shattered into 32 pieces and scattered across the continent after she died, with every single piece functioning as a catalyst toward transcendence. This particular fragment happens to be her face. He picks it up and it immediately erupts into flame around him. Isabella panics, asking if he's actually sure about this, while Dramut practically cackles, certain the star just confirmed what he's been saying the entire time, that Hyunmyeong never had a right to touch it. He's fine, completely fine in fact, and mildly annoyed about it. According to what he remembers, the star only kills a player who skips past Dramut entirely to grab it, and he went through the proper channel, messy as it was, so the death clause was never actually in play. The only real question left is whether absorbing it gets him the specific class he's after, since an unclaimed star defaults to handing out a class on its own when nobody's holding one yet. He's never personally tried this part, only heard about it secondhand, but a blur of possible traits flickers past in an instant before the result locks in. The star gets absorbed completely. Mana converts straight into star energy. He picks up a new main skill and a sub-skill tied to it, a permanent stat boost that doesn't go away even after future transcendence. And finally, the class he's been chasing since the day he first lied to Isabella's face about being a star bearer, star successor. Isabella just stares, somewhere between impressed and genuinely unsettled that a person can apparently just absorb a goddess fragment and walk away with a class upgrade. With the chaos settled, Hyunmyeong asks her what she actually wants once her curse is lifted, and she's honest about it, leave the desert, and track down what's left of the Dursian family bloodline. He makes her an offer instead of just handing it over for free, serve him for 1 year, and afterward he'll lift the curse properly and help her find her family. She thinks about it first, remembering the queen she currently serves and how untrustworthy she had been with her promises, but almost as if Hyunmyeong can read her mind, he reassures her that he is not like the queen and does not lie.
I will serve you.
He turns it into a package deal on the spot, confirming with Dramut that the owner of the star is now, by the very contract he just bluffed his way through, Dramut's official master. Dramut visibly hating every second of it. Our boy then shifts his attention to Dramut and demands the same of him.
Now bow your head, you bastard.
Yeah, I don't know where our protagonist got this Black Air Force energy from, but I am loving it. The system agrees this whole stretch was something special. Main Quest 2 closes out with a unique tier result, a 230-point score that updates the Hall of Fame outright, and a stack of bonus multipliers from things called constellations, fortune, adventure, apparently several combat-leaning ones too, all reacting to whatever it is he just pulled off. Several of them, the notification ads, are starting to take a real interest in him now, which would be a great note to end on if somebody hadn't just relayed a very different report up the chain. Isabella entered the sanctuary with an unauthorized slave in tow. The command is clear, seize the two of them immediately. Word travels fast, even outside the game. At some cafe, two guys are deep in a theory neither of them can prove. Is Randolph actually Phantom? Has to be outscoring Gracia on Main Quest 2 isn't something you do without knowing this game inside out, and the 5-year ghost legend everyone's been hunting just logged in as an actual player for the first time. Problem is, nobody's ever managed to track him down through normal means, so the girl at the table pitches the obvious workaround, fishing. List a stupidly good item dirt cheap in the new secret auction hall, slap a tracking talisman on it, and see who bites. It's usually how newbies get robbed. The real question is whether a 5-year veteran who knows every talisman option blind would actually fall for his own trap method. One guy says no shot, she just laughs, or whatever that expression is meant to be and says try him anyway. Worst case, he's just as unhinged as whoever's proposing it. Somewhere else in a dark alleyway, we get to see a notification pop up that says, Main Quest 2 rights revoked, secret auction access revoked for a player named Massacre. Massacre takes the L with the same energy he takes everything, completely unbothered. 230 points from a class nobody's ever heard of. Guess the auction hall's off limits for a while, not that it matters. As long as he keeps killing whoever's sitting in the top ranks, he'll always climb back up. Back in the sanctuary, the actual subquest finally clears Sanctuary Exploration, 100%, first person to ever fully map the desert sanctuary, achievement unlocked. The reward is a teleport book, epic rarity, 30-second cast time, usable once a day, already keyed to this exact location. They're moving the second the notification fades, riding hard down a 100-meter slope toward the exit while Hyunmyeong narrates the plan like he's done this 100 times. He's leveling up in real time instead, level 3 now, every stat sitting at 36 thanks to the star effect's flat bonus, and the talent list scrolling past is genuinely excessive, weapons and elements and pure utility all stacked on top of each other. More talents apparently means more experience required per level, supposedly 10 times the normal rate, but the stat growth scales with it too, so he's not exactly complaining. Then the actual loot, 2 items rare enough to make even his quest score look modest. First one out is a shadow cloak, free invisibility on activation, no real downside. The second stays a mystery for now. He doesn't get long to enjoy it. Dramut reports intruders inside the sanctuary before they're even out of earshot, not the queen herself, but the advance unit of her pursuit squad, already mistaking him for a monster the moment he shows his face. Isabella starts running the math out loud, worried even the Guardian can't hold off a full unit. Hyunmyeong's math is simpler. Dramut is the Guardian. Defending this place from intruders is his entire job description. Why fight when they can just let him do it? Isabella's reaction to watching her own captor casually weaponize a binding contract is somewhere between offended and impressed. The actual plan, let Dramut stall, run for the warp gate at the desert's edge, don't get caught in open sand before it spins up. The gate needs about half a day, and somewhere in that window Hyunmyeong still has to log out and check reality, because Pangenia isn't the only thing currently falling apart. So he asks the only question that matters out here.
Can I trust you?
I will protect you.
He logs out on that. The system's parting tip, be cautious purchasing from the secret auction hall, lands a lot funnier now than it would have an hour ago. Back in his actual body, first move as always, check the phone for disaster alerts. Nothing, no monsters in reality yet, small mercy, but he'll take it. But then he sees another message he did not expect, his ex-girlfriend that wants to meet. At a cafe, Hyunmyeong's ex is on the phone with her current boyfriend, and it seems that they are in yet another argument. She's loudly yelling and complaining, while onlookers look surprised at the scene. She hangs up finally, saying that she is about to meet a friend. She then thinks to herself that even though Hyunmyeong was pathetic, at least he listened to her, and that maybe she should have held on longer. But she quickly shrugs off the self-doubts and says if Hyunmyeong was never a brokey to begin with, that she wouldn't have left him. He shows up to the cafe she picked, and within 30 seconds it's the same routine he remembers. You always came running when I called. I realized how good I had it after we broke up. Didn't you miss me too? All of it delivered without her actually buying him the drink she offered to order. He mostly sits there amused at how transparent it all is. At one point, Hyunmyeong gets enough of it and decides to leave. She doesn't take that well and demands he listens. He asks flat whether her current boyfriend knows she's here right now, then points out that if she's still flirting with multiple guys, deleting just her profile picture probably wasn't enough. That lands exactly as well as expected. She goes from soft and nostalgic to furious in half a second, throwing the word stalking back at him like he just slapped her with it. But he remains unbothered and just leaves while ignoring her. What actually surprises him isn't her, it's himself. Old Hyunmyeong would have frozen up in a scene like that, scrambled for something to say, probably apologized for nothing.
Don't tell me Randolph's growth affects me in reality too.
He doesn't get long to sit with that, because 2 blocks later reality runs its own test. Some guy's got a woman by the arm in the middle of the street, shouting at a crowd that's doing exactly what crowds do, nothing, while she fights him off. The moment a knife comes out, every bystander finds somewhere else to look, but Hyunmyeong doesn't. He easily stops the man holding down his wrist, and with a menacing look he tells him,
That's enough, asshole.
Hyunmyeong's still got the guy's wrist locked when it actually registers what just happened.
My real body has definitely changed.
No sync, no fragment, no Randolph borrowed for the occasion, just him, bending a grown man's wrist on pure default stats. The guy charges again anyway, learns nothing from the first attempt, and gets absolutely body slammed. The woman he saved finally gets a clear look at his face, and he gets one back at hers, recognizes her instantly. The stranger from the night the dragon showed up. He doesn't say it out loud, just mutters she resembles someone he used to know. Then the cops try to haul him in for violence, which is rich considering the guy had a knife, but before that turns into an actual argument, the woman flashes a press badge. Kim Hana, CK Broadcasting, threatens a headline. A couple bystanders recognize her from the viral clip of her shielding a kid from a monster, and the cops fold on the spot. Hana hands him her card. Turns out she covers Dimension Warriors now, the public's preferred term for players, since an interdimensional invasion apparently sells better than admitting a video game came true. Yoonji shows up mid-explanation, fusses over both of them. Somebody asks if Hana's his girlfriend, hard no. No business card to trade, so Hana takes his number instead, saves it as Park Hyunmyeong, locks in coffee for tomorrow. And Hyunmyeong's ex can't do anything else besides calling him a nobody in anger. Yes, how do we tell her? One more thing lands on Hana before the scene's even over. Her director dumped an interview on her desk. Gracia, the person currently treated like he personally saved America, apparently requested Hana by name and is already flying to Korea over it. Whatever Gracia's been doing to earn that reputation, the footage isn't gentle, filed away for later. Back in Pangenia, the Queen's men catch Isabella right as the gate's still charging. Hand over the slave, they say, and they'll forget this happened. Isabella's answer is a blade through the messenger mid-sentence. The rest of the unit doesn't need a second invitation. That's the exact moment the gate finishes and Hyunmyeong reconnects, finding her bleeding and still holding the line alone, exactly like she promised. So he empties every drop of star energy into Star Pierce for 41 straight seconds.
This is the moment of liberation. Rejoice.
It's not really a fight after that. Once it's over, he offers her the door one last time, saying that it's not too late to walk away. She doesn't take long.
I will stay with you.
The curse drops the second she says it. 12 warp cities open up off the Kaltzman Desert. He picks the central continent, Arcana. The Golden City lives up to the name, wealth everywhere. A system tip warning the deeper districts aren't safe without noble-tier funds. Isabella proudly produces 300 gold like she solved the whole problem. Locals quote her one night's lodging for that exact bag. Back home it bought 10 slaves. Here bread alone runs 50 gold a loaf. Hyunmyeong points to the solution to their problem, and a casino sign lights up behind them. Isabella's panicking, Hyunmyeong isn't.
I'm rather lucky.
And a notification rolls in to back it. Hidden trait, Blessing of Gold, activated. Arcana, the Golden City. Also known, apparently, as the City of Pleasures, because in Pangenia every undercity runs like its own little monarchy, and whoever built Arcana decided their one law was going to be simple: money decides everything. No exceptions, no appeals, no sob stories. The place where all of that money actually pools is the Hudson Casino, which looks exactly like what you'd build if someone gave a god a Vegas budget and zero zoning restrictions. One problem, entry deposit is 10,000 gold. Isabella only got 100 to spare. She didn't even have that before. It's what's left after washing up and buying new clothes, which Isabella takes great pains to clarify were apparently not optional. The door staff delivers the "you lack the deposit, please leave" line with the energy of someone who's definitely said it 1,000 times today and moves on. Our guy reaches into his inventory and puts down the Fairy Queen's tear as collateral instead. One of the rarer items he picked up from the sanctuary, worth at least 1,000,000 gold by any honest estimate, being used as a substitute for a 10,000 gold deposit and an absolute zero fear of risk. The staff doesn't have a procedure for this, apparently. The roulette table has one. Blessing of Gold turns out to be exactly what it says: when money's on the line, no better trait in the game. He started 1250. He ends the session having surpassed 1.4 million gold, at which point the casino politely informs him that every customer who wins past a certain threshold is banned from the premises. Already, he's been here maybe an hour. Isabella, who would like to celebrate being rich, gets a quick reminder from our boy that it's his money though. Before security can formally escort them out, our boy makes one request. He needs to speak with the owner. Staff says that's not happening. He tells them not to misunderstand. It's not him asking for a meeting.
Your boss will want to meet me. Do tell him about me.
Meanwhile, back of the house, Hudson, who does in fact own the place, and does in fact collect rare talismans as something between a hobby and an obsession, just got word that someone walked into his casino carrying a Fairy Queen's tear as a deposit. His observation ability confirmed it's real. A Fairy Queen's Knight requires at least 3 transcendents to defeat. Fairies almost never leave their realm. The item is nearly impossible to obtain by any normal means, and this man does not look like a strong fighter at all. Bring him here. We should have tea. The negotiation opens simply enough. Hudson wants the talisman, offers 2 million gold, calls it generous. Hyunmyeong doesn't hesitate and says 20 million. There is a long pause before. Hudson walks through the math. 20 gold buys a mansion in the center of Arcana, talismans, record weapons. However rare the item, it's still technically a hobby purchase, and so on. Hyunmyeong doesn't argue any of it. Not for me, but for you, yes. Because the Fairy Queen's tear isn't a talisman for Hudson. Joining the city council requires achieving level 10, which you do through combat, a problem if you're a merchant class with no fighting ability. The tear equips its stats directly to whoever holds it, bypassing the level requirement entirely, enough to get a non-combat class through the door. And the reason a merchant specifically needs to enter that council, to be acknowledged by the family of his fiancée, Serket, daughter of the Sultan Kingdom nobility. Hudson goes quiet for a beat. Then he starts talking. The pure white knight, she led 500 knights during the Demon Lord's great expedition, sacrificed both legs to the Demon Lord to save his life, lost her right hand in the process. Back then, he processed it the way you process events in a game, dramatic, notable, filed away, because before he came to this world, Pangenia was just that, a game. It was only after Wilhelm's death, and the realization that NPCs might actually be players, that Serket's last words started to mean something different. She'd handed him a necklace before the expedition, said, "If I don't return, please deliver this for me." Serket's necklace, a precious item, made of coral, and her fiancé's locket. Our protagonist checks this against everything he knows about her character. He built enough characters to know the preset's cold, and in Serket's original setting, she had no fiancé. Someone altered her character parameters before the game went live. Hudson accepted the necklace naturally because someone made sure he would, and that kind of intervention takes a player.
I never told anyone about this. How did you know?
Our boy's answer is the only one that works.
The stars told me.
Hudson isn't being asked to believe it. He's being offered a deal. Forget the 20 million gold. Just one condition. Tell the stars the story of your life, all of it true, nothing held back. The star bearer needs truthful stories, and he'll decide whether to help after hearing it. Hudson weighs this. Revealing personal information in Pangenia is about as safe as announcing your home address to a room full of assassins. There are NPCs who specialize specifically in hunting players, called hunters, who eliminate dimension travelers on sight. Players go to extraordinary lengths to hide their identities. Giving yours up voluntarily is practically a gift-wrap target. Our guy is confident he'll do it anyway. Serket is worth more to Hudson than personal security. Some things just are. Hudson starts. Serket, the expedition, the 8 allied forces that jointly controlled the whole operation, and the infiltrators embedded among them who drove it into the ground. The Demon Realm expedition didn't fail by accident. Our boy stops him.
Do you know who the saboteur is?
Hudson asks if he even knows who the team heroes are. Of course, all extremely powerful figures, and one of them is the strongest player produced after Wilhelm's death.
Gracia.
Cut to somewhere else. A news segment is running. Kim Hana's byline on the report about the man who rode a monster. The report is about Randolph. Gracia, watching from somewhere that is very clearly not Korea, tells his assistant he's scheduled the interview himself and needs to make the trip in person. The assistant tells him that if needed we can bring the reporter here, and that Gracia doesn't need to travel himself all the way to Korea. Gracia is still persistent on going there in person. After looking at Randolph some more on the news, he gives his reasoning.
Because I have a feeling this man might be the friend I've been searching for.